for joining us for activity time here at the Early on Brantford Brant. I'm Barb, and today I want to talk to you about making your very own time capsule. What's a time capsule, you ask? Well, let me tell you, a time capsule is something special that we put things in, like memories or maybe some special things that are special to us, and then we hide it away and we open it up when you're much, much older. So I think what we'll start with is finding a container. We need to find something to put all of your treasures in. So you need to think a little bit about what kind of treasures you might put in, so then you know how big of a container you need. You might use a cookie tin. This is one that just had cookies in it. I ate all the cookies and then I painted it. You might use a box, and you could decorate that box up. We can glue all kinds of things to the outside of it. That could be your container. You might have a container, something like this, that has a lid that snaps on. And you could also decorate the outside of this one, or you could leave it plain. You could also maybe use an old paint can that maybe your grown-ups have in the house, or an old coffee can, or a jar maybe. It just depends what you want to put in it, and it also depends where you're going to hide it. Some people like to hide their time capsules underground. They dig a hole and then they bury it. They put a little sign that says, "Dig me up in a few years," and then you dig it up and open it up and remember the things that are in there. So think about where you might hide it. Your grown-ups can probably help you find a spot to hide it. Maybe you're just going to put it up in a closet or down in the basement or in the attic, and then get it out again in a few years and have a look. So I'm going to use the tin today, I think. I've got my tin here. Then I need to think about some things that I want to put in here. Things that I want to remember in 10 years. That's a long time away. In 10 years, then we're going to open our time capsule again and have a look. Now, if it's a time capsule that you're going to bury underground outside, you need to make sure that it closes really, really well so that none of the dirt gets inside, or none of the rain that falls gets inside there, or even you don't want some animals to dig it up and look in there. So if you're going to do one that you bury, make sure you and your grown-up do some research on the best containers for burying it. I'm going to put mine in my attic, so I'm not going to worry too much about what container I have, just that it closes tightly. So now I want to think about what I want to put in here. So things that in 10 years I want to look back and say, oh yeah, I remember that. So I want to put in maybe a favorite toy, but not too favorite, because remember, we're not going to open it for 10 years. But I really, really like my yo-yo. So I'm going to put my yo-yo inside my box. I also really, really love Owlie. He's my favorite little stuffed animal, but I don't really sleep with him anymore, and I don't really play with him anymore, but I want to remember him forever. So I'm going to put him in my box. I also have this really cool Lego car that I built. It's really special to me. I built it all by myself, and I want to remember that. So I'm going to tuck that inside there. Then I'm going to think about some other things that I might want to put in there. So you might want to put in a favorite book that you have, or one that you really, really like your grown-ups to read to you before you go to bed, or maybe one that they used to read but now you're too grown up for it. You can put those in. I also have this little book and it says family on the front, and it's for pictures. So I'm going to make sure I have pictures for all the special people. So maybe my grandma and grandpa, maybe my parents, my mom and my dad, maybe my child care provider, maybe my daycare teachers, maybe my teachers at school. Anybody that's really important to me right now, I want to have a picture of them so I can save it for later. So that would go in my box. I also have this. I don't know if you know what this is, but this is a place that you get pizza. So I'm going to put this in because pizza is one of my favorite suppers. So I want to remember that later, that in 2021, pizza was my favorite supper. So I'm going to put that in there, tuck it all up nice and stick that into my box. And then I want to remember how big I was in 2021. So I have this piece of ribbon, and you guys can maybe find a piece of ribbon at your house and get your grown-up to help you. And you want your grown-up to cut that ribbon the same height as you are. So it starts down at your feet, all the way up to your head, and then you cut it off. And then get your grown-up to help, or maybe you can do it yourself. And you want to write on here, on the ribbon, how old you were in 2021 when we cut this piece of ribbon. You write down how old you were. Maybe you could write what grade you were in if you're in school. Maybe you could write your teacher's name on there. Maybe you could write how much you weigh on there. Maybe you could write what size shoes you wear, what size clothes you wear. So you could write all of that information on this piece of ribbon that's the same height as you, and then tuck it all up and put it into your box. And then there's a few other things that you might want to write down. I just did a little sheet. You can do your very own. And this one just has some information here about things that are my favorites. So I'll tell you what I put on mine, and you can decide if you want it on yours. I wanted to remember what my favorite toy was. I wanted to remember what my favorite color was, what my favorite animal was, my favorite food, my favorite show to watch, my favorite movie to watch, my very favorite book, my very favorite thing to do. And that could be a couple things. It could have something that's your very favorite thing to do by yourself, your very favorite thing to do with your family and friends, with other kids, or you could do something your favorite thing to do with your family. You could also put down your very favorite place to be and your very favorite song. You could also put on this paper, on this little note that you're going to write to yourself, who your very best friends are. And then the last thing I want to remember is, what did I want to be when I grow up? So all of that information, we can just write it down on the paper, or you can get your grown-up to help you and help you fill that out, all the information, or you could draw pictures to remind you about those things, and then tuck that piece of paper into your box. Make sure everything fits in nice and tight so we can fit the lid on. And then the other paper that I brought is for handprints. So you could get everybody in your family to paint their hand. Probably better if everybody used a different color. And then make a handprint right on the paper. And when that one's dry, the next person can do theirs. And the next person can do theirs when that one's dry, till your whole family is on that paper. Or you could do a different piece of paper for every person in your family, or maybe you just want to do yours. So when you've got your handprints on, you're going to tuck that up, fold it up, and tuck it into the box. When you've got all of the things that you want in your box, you're going to find your lid, and you're going to put the lid on tight. Oh, it's very, very tight to get it in. My box is very full. And then you want to get some good tape and close it all up so it doesn't open up. And then on the very top, you're going to make a note. Maybe your grown-up can help you with this too. You're going to make a note that says, please open on, and you guys can decide what date you want to open it on. I'm going to open mine in January of 2031. That's a very long time away, 10 years. And then I'm going to take this very special box and I'm going to hide it away up in my attic so that it stays safe for 10 whole years. And that's what making a time capsule is all about. Putting things in so that when we open them later, it reminds us of what we were doing when we made that box. Well, I hope you can make your own time capsule and decide on a time to open it. And I hope you have as much fun making it as you do opening it when you open it in 10 years or 5 years, whenever you decide. And look at all the things you put in. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you had a good time, and I will see you again next time. Bye.